Yeah, a couple of stories that have come out over the last week or so. Let's start off with the one that you might not know as much about. So I get this source from Bounding into Comics, which is a very great website for pop culture news. John F. Trent, I've been on some live streams with him before. He's a great guy, and it's about this new push in Star Wars novels, and basically the new push is going to be called the High Republic. Have you ever followed Star Wars Old Republic or Star Wars novels or anything like that?
No, when it comes to Star Wars, I'm strictly the movies. The movies are all I know about Star Wars. I've never dove any deeper than that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and that's something that I was there too. I started off with the prequels as a kid. Eventually, that led me to the originals, and I realized how much better the originals were than the prequels. And then it wasn't until about probably a year ago, that year and a half actually at this point. Wow, I can't believe it's been that long. Very close to the beginning of the YouTube channel, where all of a sudden everyone was like, "Oh, if you like this or you don't like this, you gotta read this. You gotta check out this character." And then I started to dive into these characters called Thrawn, and read this Thrawn trilogy, and started to dive into these other characters, and it was just awesome. I was like, "Wow, I can't believe that Star Wars actually has all of these amazing characters and amazing stories that have never been put onto the big screen," which just makes watching the sequel trilogy that much more frustrating, because you have all these new characters that no one cares about, that are so lifeless, that have terrible arcs, when you have this rich bit of source material that you could have used in the process.
What is the timeline of the novels that you speak of?
All right, so basically this is what we have going on. So Star Wars announces brand new publishing initiative called the High Republic, and so from what I gather, it's set 200 years before the events of the Phantom Menace in an era called the High Republic. So Old Republic era is usually in like the thousands of years prior to the events. So now we're getting closer to the films, so getting closer to the prequel movies, basically, with this new set. But the controversy is that they released this via video. They released this announcement via video, and in there was a board that was on the background. And on the board, you have a few different things that are talked about. So Vice President of Franchise Content Strategy, James Wow, made it clear in the announcement trailer that diversity and representation were and are the focus of the initiative. Not a part of it, the focus of the initiative. He says, "We put together a really unique writer's room. We had really diverse voices with very different opinions about Star Wars. We all love Star Wars, but we all come from very different places." And then on the little blackboard, you see in there, it says, in fiction, it has under that category that they want diversity under there. And then for Star Wars wishes, you see representation and diversity as one of their key points. So as someone that hasn't read the EU novels, as someone that is not really into the Star Wars community nearly as much, what are your thoughts about them pushing this new initiative where their main focus is going to be on pushing diversity and representation in books?
I think on that big whiteboard, they should have had "tell a good story." You should start with the story, and if diversity and things come into play to help carry that story, then yeah, sure, do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But to make that the main focal point, it's obviously 2020. I expected nothing less, I guess.
Yeah. And there's also just a lot of other things that were in this video. So obviously they're talking about fiction, but here's the first category. It says authentically lived in, surprise, diversity, actual ending. I do agree with that point. It is nice.
Actual ending.
It is nice to have actual endings with things. Feelings, relatable characters, sweeping epic. Okay, so a couple of those things, yeah, I can agree having in a story for sure. But then you have relatable characters, and you know that what they mean by that is diverse representation characters, right? That's the focus. And then in the middle of it, they have Star Wars with a little heart next to it. The very first point under Star Wars, not pro-war.
Why? Why is that in there? Why can't... What is happening? Everything's so neutered and numb and sterile and bland and afraid.
Yep.
Like you get regurgitated baby food in a blender. That's what we're consuming nowadays. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing with an edge.
Yep.
Oh man. Okay. Well, hey, does that take all your excitement away from any future Star Wars properties coming from Disney? Absolutely.
For the novels? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Right. All this High Republic, High Era stuff. Yeah. Why would I want to watch this? Especially when further down on that same list, no single main character. So they don't want any stories with single main characters. So every story is going to be focused on just groups of people, all from diverse backgrounds, working together. And that's, of course, remember, going back to what I said originally, their main focus is going to be on representation and diversity. And having that whole no single main character is absolutely feeding into that dynamic. And that's going to push readers away for any, at least as far as like hardcore readers go, that's going to push them away to never read it. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having some supporting main characters. I mean, Han Solo is a
Yeah.
supporting character. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Have whatever represent it that way, but why can't you have one main character? That's the simple basic premise of great storytelling 101.
Mm-hmm.
You have one character. You have one character that you carry through with a trilogy or series or a story. The fact that they're not even going to take the time to focus on that and split it up between 27 other characters, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I care less than I did before, I suppose.
Yeah, and I guess their mindset might be, oh, well, Game of Thrones did it, right? Because Game of Thrones in the novels, right? It has it broken down. Every chapter, it's not even really chapters, but every section is from a different perspective, from a different person. And there is no actual, I guess you could say, one main lead. There's all of these people that are all supportive. But I think that even people that read the books would say that there are certain characters that win out in the end, that are more interesting than others, and almost take on that role as being the main character, even though there are these great supporting. And as you mentioned, right, in the original stories, you have Han Solo, Chewbacca, Princess Leia. Obviously, even in Luke Skywalker's own story, you have that major plot point with, Darth Vader as well. And I think that having a single main character, or at least having a central focal point, is kind of needed in a lot of stories, especially Star Wars has always been known for that, of having main focuses on certain people.
Skywalker, you need that heartbeat. You need the thing that ties it all together, the purpose, the glue that holds it. And the other thing is, hey, no worries. Even if you had a main character, we're not pro-war, so there's no conflict in the Star Wars story. We all just sit around with the Ewoks, eating, whatever they eat, tree bark. I don't. But so that it doesn't matter. Even if you had great characters or you had one sensual character, there's no conflict.
No,
we got rid of conflict.
Yeah, so can't have that. Can't have
No.
that. And they still say a space and lightsaber battles. That's all fine, but as long as we're not pro-war. But here's the other thing too: is like, I understand not wanting to say war is good, but the fact that on your agenda you have to spell out, well, we can't be pro-war, we can't have any type of messaging, but then all of a sudden it's, oh, but we need to have diversity and we need to have representation, right? So we're fine pushing certain agendas, but we also want to, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, so no empire. There's no empire anymore because they're a dictatorship, right? And war is how they resolve what they want and take what they want. But the whole message of Star Wars to begin with was, it wasn't pro-war. It was about peace. It was about doing what's right. It wasn't about having a dictatorship with the empire. So really, I mean, it had a great message.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone's complaint ever in any Star Wars movies was, oh, that was too much war. That was too violent.
Because also, what is it called?
Star Wars.
It's called Star Wars. And yet, what's even better is I just found another quote from this dude who is obviously clueless. He says, golden age where there is much more peace and calm in the galaxy. So we're calling it the High Republic. The description that we've used for the Jedi of this era is that they are the Jedi Knights of the Round Table.
So what is the conflict?
I'm sure they're going to have random, like, little mini conflicts all throughout, I guess. Someone says it's a bit of the Wild West, new frontier. We see a different kind of Jedi that patrols the frontiers and is more of a Texas Ranger.
Isn't that what they're already doing with The Mandalorian?
Yeah. So apparently they're just taking, but the big thing here is that they're taking away any major scale background war or background conflict out of it and making it localized and making it more about peace.
Sounds really anticlimactic.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, when I think Star Wars, I think big scale, I think epic, I think some kind of underline. It doesn't mean the main plot throughout everything has to be war, but there should be some kind of underlining issue building to something.
Yeah.
So
especially if you're setting it in the past, right? You can have those elements. If you want to go future, like if you want to say, let's go past the Skywalker saga, let's go after the events of Rey, where there is now more peace in the galaxy. Like, I can understand that to a certain extent, but even during the time in which the Empire falls, as we saw from the transition from Return of the Jedi to Force Awakens, there's still the remnants that remain, right? There's still that leftover pieces. And I feel like that's always kind of got to be there, because things don't just become peaceful and then everything is fine, you know?
Yeah, I don't. The whole thing sounds like a mess.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Nothing about it really sounds appealing. It sounds like.
So are you going to go read some High Republic era novels now?
No, never. No, I'm not. No, I'm good. I'll pass on that.
I would recommend Old Republic stuff though, man. It's pretty damn good. Thrawn, if you want to start anywhere, look up the Thrawn trilogy, the original Thrawn trilogy. It is beautiful.
I'll do that immediately after this.
You should look it up on Audible. Get the audiobook version, because then it's even easier because you get to listen to it.
I listen to podcasts about wrestling.
Well, then you'll listen to books on tape about Star Wars then too.
As long as they don't have any conflict, I will. Yeah.
And now to give a shout out to my February Patreon and Subscribe Star members: animation commentator Brian P., Dion, David Brobrizik. Please let me know if I need to repronounce that name. Divex, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Weird Dog Clan, Harold Francis, The Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, Jeffrey Lebowski, JJ Jonathan Jerembeck, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And over on Subscribestar, Robert Revo, Larry, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, Alice McCarthy, US 888-209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nebanon G. Adams, and ZK Man. Then a shout out to Riff Racer Request and Sir Lance Elato and Mike Jackson. You rock. Thank you very much for being my Patreon Subscribestar members for the month of February. And if anyone else decides to join, at the next couple of days or so, I will add you into this list as well. You guys freaking rock. Have a wonderful one. And as always, God bless.